there'll be a problem.
Right, we're going to have no problems here though.
Okay,
so well,
well.
so I've got 3 paintings that we're going to talk about. So I'm going to ask Kristine. Now, Kristine, you are a painter. So you're looking at the 3 paintings, and do you want to just tell me a few words about each? And I mean, for instance, things like to me, a non-artist, what's the medium that they're painted in?
You're asking me?
I am asking you. Is that okay?
Well, it looks to me like it's watercolour.
How can you tell that? How could you teach someone like me to know that it's watercolour? What's the difference, say, between watercolour and, how do I know it's not?
I would say it's more opaque, watercolour, whereas maybe acrylic is a thicker medium. It's got more colour in it, and so these look very kind of pastel-y. Although obviously you've got the dark colours there, they're still quite opaque. I mean, the best way to show you would have been to have had an acrylic next to it, and you could see the difference in colour. That would be my take on it.
Now, when you walked past these earlier on, you right away said watercolours. That's what you're right. You knew these were watercolours. Now, can you also tell right away that they're not a print, that it actually is an original watercolour just by looking at it?
Yes, you can actually. Mainly because you can see the actual texture from the paper that it's been painted on, so that's the main sort of giveaway, really.
Now, Kristine, you are an actual active artist. I know you teach and you work in here. Can you tell me the sort of subjects that you're painting at the minute?
That I'm painting?
Yes.
I'm painting animals at the moment, and I'm painting abstracts, and I'm painting landscapes.
So you've got lots. Which animals are you doing?
I'm doing horses.
You're doing horses a minute. Could you talk me through the subjects of these? Just a sentence or two about each. What is it that we're looking at here?
Yep, I would say this is a landscape. Obviously, it's a river scene by the looks of it, with boats in it and some hills in the background, some trees. This one, definitely mountainscape, landscape, with a wee sort of road and some rocks, etc. Some water as well. This one, I would say this is an activity scene because obviously, there's obviously animals in it, but it's out, it's shooting, hunting, shooting, and it's in the woods.
Okay,
so
now
that would be mine.
I know, as you told me before, you actually get some commissions, so that people come and ask you to do stuff. But I want to just generally look at the subjects of these paintings. I'm going to put you in the spot here, so we're not talking about what you charge. I'm not going to ask you that on camera. But I would like you, I would like you to give us an idea. You see, if you were running a gallery, what sort of price would you put in these to try and shift them to make sure that they're sold? What sort of things are you thinking about when you're coming up with a price for these?
It's really difficult because obviously, in my opinion, art is very subjective and it's very emotive.
Yeah.
So you would buy a painting because you like it, but obviously individually it's whatever grabs you. So for example, if I was into boats, then this would probably be the one that I would be looking at. I like dogs, I have dogs, so I would probably be looking at this. Although I would say probably someone who shoots and maybe has these types of dogs would maybe be looking at this. And possibly someone who does a little hill walking and maybe recognises this scene would be looking at this one. So it's very subjective. It really depends, what grabs you.
Okay. So Jenni, you're not a practicing artist,
no,
but you're very much involved in the purchase and the sale of stuff in the art world. And I would like you to talk us through the sort of things that someone in the gallery is thinking of when these paintings come in and say, right, I want to make sure that these sell for a reasonable price for the artist and for the take that the gallery get. So what sort of things are you looking at on each of these paintings? What's your thought process?
Gallery's looking at is the painting by a recognised artist. If it's a recognised artist who has a previous sales, then that will command a higher price from your clientele. Then you look at the size of the painting. Is it something that is a manageable size, i.e. can someone buy it and take it away and put it in a standard house? They don't have to have a period house, they don't have to have modern apartment. Most of us don't live in those. So if you live in a bog standard house, you want to have something that's going to fit your wall space and fit in with your own furnishings, fittings, that sort of thing.
Would you, for instance, consider reframing any of these, or are the frames in these okay?
At the moment the frames are okay. These are what you would class as a very standard frame. They are the kind of frame that fits in with what most people have in their homes, very neutral, and it's not a frame that's going to take a specific location or a specific colour to live on a wall.
You've mentioned the size, and they're not huge. No. And we've talked about this before, that young artists panic and think they should be painting 6 metre by 2 metre tapestries of the Last Supper, but you want to get that across that that's not the case.
That's not the case.
These are more likely to sell than a
Yes.
6 by 2 metre
Yes.
tapestry of the Last Supper.
Yes.
So I'm going to draw you here on prices. Yes. I appreciate that there's a lot of it'll depend on a lot of different things. Could you give us a flavour of some of the things, but could you also give us a figure for each of the paintings as well,
Yes.
please?
They are all watercolours. They are all exactly the same price. All 3 of them, but for very different reasons. Each of them they've come from a recognised gallery. Prior to today they were up for sale, and each of them were up for sale for £150.
So each of these was on with a price tag of £150. Now you mentioned that that's for different reasons. Can you talk us through? For instance, can you start with the one with the dogs in it?
The one with the dogs is £150 because Mike Russell, the artist, is well known. He is well known for these types of scenes. He sells well because they are a bit quirky, comical. If most people like dogs, Persia, a lot of hunting, shooting, fishing, they sell well in this area. And he is now reproduced in calendar as well as his own paintings. So he's a recognised name in this type of painting.
And what about the boat one?
That's a Norfolk artist down in the east coast of England. Again, recognised artist. He paints a lot of these scenes, the canal scenes, the Broads, sort of, harbour scenes, and people know him. He's in a few galleries up and down the sort of Norfolk coastline. The middle one, again, is someone who is well known in Scotland for these small landscapes. He paints a lot in the Sutherland area and up in the north of Scotland as well. And he has a clientele behind him. These are all recognised artists.
Thank you, Kristine. I'm hoping you'll make another video with us later on where you'll bring in some of your own work and talk us through. We'll not ask you to price it, but just you talk us through some of the things that you've done. Jenni, can I just finish by saying, in your opinion, watercolours, where are they in the art pecking order?
They are probably at the top of the pecking order, and primarily because anyone who paints in watercolour knows that there is no margin of error in it. You've got to get your subject right. You can't cover it up, which you can do with oil paint and acrylic, which is thicker. You can make a mistake on your canvas and you can hide it and change it. With watercolour you can't do that, and it dries quickly, and your brushes are quite fine. I mean, that centre painting, the brushwork there is done with very, very fine brushes. Some of them are so tiny. A lot of them work even through magnifying glasses.
Thank you very much. That's it for today.
That's us.